Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're on S Motorsports. Today I'm going to show you how to store your car for winter. So like I said guys, I want to show you how I store my car, namely the Camaro, for winter. This is going to kind of apply to any car, but what I specifically do for the Camaro and the tires that it has, I want to show you everything that I do and the parts that I use, the process basically. So let's get into it, what I do. First off, as you can see, the Camaro is nice and clean. I wash the car to get all the contaminants off and make sure that it's good and clean and there's not a bunch of dirt on the paint, as we will be putting on a car cover for winter to protect it and just keep the dust off. Next, what I also did before I washed the car is I took the car for a nice good drive to get the oil up to temp, as I am going to be changing the oil and I will show you what I'm using. You want to change the oil before you put it away for storage, before winter, as you don't want that dirty, contaminated oil to be sitting in the bearings over winter. So what you're supposed to do, and I'm not always the best at this, but what you're supposed to do is to change the oil before winter so you get fresh oil into the bearings and you don't have contaminated oil sitting in there all winter. So that's what we're gonna do as well. So let's start by getting the oil changed on this beauty, and then I'll show you the next step. So I got my oil here. This is the oil that I use on the Camaro specifically. I use AMSOIL. I use AMSOIL in the Camaro as well as the Trans Am, as I think it is the best oil on the market, and I think it is a really high quality product. So I use 5W30 on the Camaro. And then I also use, I always use Wix filters. I've had really good luck. I think they're also a very high quality filter. So this is, you know, the AC Delco equivalent for the Camaro. So obviously the Camaro takes 10 quarts with all the coolers and everything, so which is a lot, which means it's not necessarily cheap. So another reason why you guys gotta make sure you do this yourself and get a little satisfaction out of changing your oil. 4 here, and then 10 total. So let's get the oil changed and we'll move on to the next step. All right guys, now that I'm sweating from changing the oil, we got it all done. We'll move on to the next step. I do need to start the car yet and reset the oil indicator, you know, before it gets put away. But you should start it to make sure you get that new oil circulated around. Otherwise, you're still gonna have dirty oil sitting in the bearings and stuff. But the oil looked, it really wasn't even that black yet. It still had a little bit of a golden color to it. So the oil is still fine from basically one summer of driving. So it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, it looks black in the pan because the pan is black. But when it was draining, I could see that it really didn't look that bad. So moving on to the next thing, what I do, I did it last year and I think it worked out really good, to basically get the car up off the concrete, because these Supercar 3 tires are prone to cracking in the cold. So I wanted to get the car up off the cold concrete. My shop, I do keep it heated basically above freezing all year, just at like 36 degrees. So when it does get colder, you know, it never dips below 36 degrees in here, which does help the tires and just make sure there's no condensation going on in the garage. So this I think worked pretty good. What it is just a piece of insulation that you would normally put in a house wall. I think this is, what does it say? 1.5 inch thick. This works really good. As you can see, I put the car on it last year, and I mean, it's kind of hard to tell probably from the camera, but it honestly doesn't even squish down that much. It works really good. It cushions the tire. It kind of develops its own little, you know, circle there. And I mean, honestly, this is dirt cheap. I had this lying around, so this is perfect. So I just got to put them under the rear tires as I kind of lifted the car up to change the oil, and I put those underneath right away. But honestly, this works really good, super cheap. you know, obviously if you got a house, you might have this laying around already and it works really good. All right guys, so I got the pink insulation foam under all the tires. So the next thing that I personally like to do, especially on the Camaro, as the battery kind of drains pretty quick with all the electronics and stuff they got going on, I'd always hook up a car charger or a trickle charger to the car over the winter to make sure the battery is maintained. Otherwise, it'll go into power saving mode and it'll die pretty quick. So trickle charger is a pretty good idea. I hook it up in the front here, and then I just kind of poke it through the grill. And this is the trickle charger that I'm using. I think it's I really like this Battery Tender Plus, this Battery Tender brand. I think it's a very good brand. I'll put a link in the description, as I did get this from Amazon. Definitely a worthwhile. I use it to charge, you know, whatever, all sorts of different automotive batteries and stuff. So I don't just use it for the Camaro. It works really good, and I just leave it on there. And it's got some smarts built into it, so it doesn't overcharge the battery and all that good stuff. So definitely a worthwhile pickup there. Next, kind of the final thing, which I won't do it right now, would be a car cover. So I have a car cover that I did a review on a while back, and I'm still using it, and I'll put that link up here, somewhere up here. And what it is an indoor car cover. I got it right here. It's you know, got the Camaro logo on it. It works really good for indoors, as it's basically just to keep the dust off of it and keep the car clean for the springtime. And I think that's a worthwhile item as well. And I'll put the link in this video description as well if you want to check that out. But since I just washed the car, it's still drying. As you can see, water's still coming off of it as I'm jacking the car up and stuff. So I want to let the car completely dry before you put the cover on, because you don't want to trap any moisture underneath that cover on the car. So I'm going to let the car completely dry out for a day or two or more, and then throw the car cover on. One last tip that I thought of as well is I do fill the tank up with gas, basically to half tank. I don't want to leave the center and the sock and everything in there completely dry. So I make sure I fill the tank with non-ethanol fuel. Make sure it's at least half a tank. All right guys, that's it for today. I got the Camaro all ready for winter storage. I got the trickle charger on, got the foam under the tires, got the oil change, got the gas tank halfway full. I will throw the car cover on once the car is all dry. So quite a few steps to get it ready, but it is worth it because then it's ready to go in the spring. So make sure you guys store your car right, as you know, it's a good investment to make sure that your car lasts and performs the way you want it to. So thanks for joining in, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.